Greetings, to all our viewers and listeners in this. So, welcome to the final project of CCS 108 Object-Oriented Programming. So, today we will be tackling about the most hard or the hardest project I've ever done in my history of programming as a young developer and soon to be professional developer in University of Cabuyao, partaking the Bachelor of Science and Information and Technology. By the way, my name is Mark Justin Alzona, the leading man in this project, and today we will talk about this Java application that leverages Java Swing Multiform GUI and object-oriented programming fundamentals and incorporates the singleton. When we say singleton, from the word single, in a given code or programming, for example, you created a user, there should be only one instance of that user. Then we have here a factory. It is a design pattern that indicates a creation of data. For example, you are creating a menu which has multiple kinds of menu items such as beverages, desserts, or main dish. So the factory hides the entire process of creation of those different kinds of categories, but those subclasses will alter the result. And then we have here the observer design patterns alongside with the CRUD operations, user account management, transaction management, report generation, and class relationship. So today I am assigned to describe and discuss to you this kind of UML diagram that I have created. So first and foremost, we will go on about the class or package of menu items or everything about the back end of menu. So in this code of our object-oriented programming project, as you can see here, we have different kinds of packages that handles different kinds of classes. So for example, the backend menu item has the backend for beverages, desserts, main dish, etc., etc. Because I wanted to be organized in this final project. And also, Sir Patrick indicates that the main file should only contain less code because the main file should run multiple kinds of methods. So that's what I have applied in this final project. So, alright, so let's do this. So I'm gonna explain to you this main menu item which has a abstract pattern. So this is an abstract class. When we say an abstract class, you cannot declare or instantiate a menu item because in reality, there is no menu item. So the subclasses such as main dish, dessert, and beverages will inherit all the attributes and methods of this menu item abstract class. And also we have here on the lower part the get category, which is a string and an abstract. So this will penetrates through the subclasses and declares or requires them to implement it. So we have here in all the subclasses, we have the get category method. So in this menu item, we have three attributes: the name of the item, the price of the item, and then the image path. For example, I want to create another menu. So the image path will give the location of the images so that it will load on our project. So it has multiple kinds of method as you can see here. Now I have explained to you this relationship of subclasses main dish, desserts and beverage to the menu item which indicates a uh, what we saw called inheritance in object-oriented programming. So this is the superclass, the menu item, which is an abstract class, and then these are the subclasses which inherits all the attributes and methods of the menu item. Now, in menu factory, we have here a relationship called association or inheritance also because menu item factory inherits also all the menu item attributes and method. So we have here one method which is create menu item. So that is a factory. It will process what type of menu item will you create. So that's it, the constructor for it. Then in the menu manager, I have created a singleton pattern for menu manager because I have called menu manager triple times in this project. It is present in main dish, dessert, and beverages. It is also present in different kinds of user that I will indicate later. So the menu manager, from the word manager, I have applied this according to the requirement of our project. So the CRUD, or create, retrieve, update, and delete, will be applicable to users, menu items, and orders. So in menu manager, I have applied the CRUD technique, which has a add menu item, get menu item, remove or search, and also the update. And also it loads the dummy data, which is void because it is given in the requirement that there is no creation of database. So database is not permitted. Dummy data to be stored in list or R list of objects are permitted. But the menu manager has a relationship to the menu item, and it is aggregation because menu manager belongs to the menu item, or menu item belongs to menu manager. As you can see here, we have an array list of menu item. So for every one menu manager, there is one or many menu items. So I have not changed this, but I will change it now. So let's change this, and that's it. So in every menu manager, there is one or many menu item that depends on the subclasses which type of menu item will be there. Then the next one is the order package that is present here in our packages. So it is linked to the menu item. As you can see in the order item, there is a menu item. So for any order, there is one order and there is one menu item should be present. So in every transaction, for example, I want a burger. So that is an item which is, for example, it is a main dish. So it will be stored in this order item. So the order item as an item, menu item as an object, and an attribute also a quantity. So these are private because it is encapsulated and it cannot be accessed from any kinds of classes unless you apply these getters and setters. So according to Sir Patrick, it is not required to include the getters and setters in our UML, but for the sake of this final project, I have included all of those. Now, for the order observer, it is also a requirement here. As you can see, the order queue manager as a singleton and order observer as an observer. So what is observer? From the word observe, for any kinds of item or any kinds of menu item will be added from the kitchen or from the user, it should be informed in the kitchen panel. So there is a notification icon that says there is a new order for that kitchen panel so that the kitchen staff can process that order. So that is the idea. So the order observer has an instance. So order observer as a static. And also it has a list of items or order items. So it is a one-to-many relationship here, also called association. Now there are just getters and setters, and also it has a add to cart, get instance, get card items, and remove. So it is just like a CRUD. Now we have here a order class that has different kinds of attributes, which is the item, the status, the shipping cost, the promo discount, and total price. So this will be applicable later, or you will visualize this later on when my group mates explains their different kinds of parts. So there are lots of methods here, and I will not explain it one by one because these methods will be explained to you by my group mates. So this one, or the order class, has a aggregation relationship to the order item. So order belongs to order item. So for any or for every one order, there is one or many order items that can be stored. Now we have here the kitchen notifier. So it has an instance which indicates the kitchen notifier object as in static, and also the order or the list of orders that is applicable here. So this is a also association method. For every one kitchen notifier, there is one or many orders. So that's basically it. Now let's proceed to the users or different kinds of users. As you can see here in our project, we have here the front end, and this is the admin menu, the cart, customer panel, kitchen panel, and login. And for the back end of user, there is admin, customer, kitchen staff, user, and user manager. So in this program or project, we have here the main abstract class, which is the super class, which means or called user. So the user has a username, password, and user role that indicates the user role if it is admin, kitchen staff, and customer. So what are the differences of this role? Admin has an access for any kinds of CRUD or create, retrieves, update, and delete methods or function available in this system. Then the kitchen staff has no access to the admin power. So the kitchen staff only sees or be informed what are the orders of the customer using this kitchen notifier. And then the customer has no power or authority to view the kitchen notifier or the admin's power, but they are allowed to order in this project. So the user has a getters and setters, and also it has a login. So the login will indicate or perform the functionalities of this backend. Login is a GUI or a graphical user interface using the JFrame or web builder that we have managed here as a Java Swing, and we have created a multi-window or multi-form object-oriented programming graphical user interface. So much to do with that, it is an association pattern, and also the subclasses as an inheritance pattern. Now here in User Manager, it is also a singleton because it is an instance of User Manager that all of the existing predefined user role or users will be stored in that instance. So whenever you call it, you will just retrieve what are the present or what are the recorded instance of that user manager. So it has different kinds of methods will be explained to you by my group mates. And now for the last part of this, it has an admin menu. These are the graphical user interface present here in our code. So the admin menu, the kitchen panel, the customer panel. So these are the GUI that has a relationship or association associated through the admin, kitchen staff, and customer depending on their role. So in this card, or the customer panel has a composition type and it is a card. So as you can see later on in our visual representation of this, for every customer, you can view your order using the card or the cart button or the cart icon. So also it has a receipt, which is a composition also. So the receipt will transmit any kinds of transaction between the user to this kind of menu-driven food ordering system. So this is basically the summarized UML design for this entire project. So this is our login panel as a main graphical user interface. So thank you so much everyone, and the rest will be explained to you by my groupmates. So thank you and God bless.
Greetings everyone. My name is Leslan Emadula, and for my part, I would be explaining to you our login page that includes the front end designs and the back end functionalities. Starting off with our user class, where we made our user object that we are using to log in an account. So in this class, we of course initialized or declared the attributes first, since we're only asking for the username and the password. We only have this, and then the other is the user role, because this variable dictates like where the user would be redirected. Like for example, an admin would be redirected to an admin page where only them can see the receipt of the customer's transaction, or if they are just a user, they would be able to just see the menu items and then buy from it. And the last one is the kitchen staff, where they can manage the orders from the user. So, hence, we have a user role here. And then after that, we have the constructor for the object when we create a new object. And then the getters and the setters that we're going to use later on other files or classes. Then up here, you're gonna see these three classes. These are all subclasses of the user. So these are like the roles that we're asking here: the admin, the customer, and the kitchen staff. First, let's go with the admin. It's just a short and simple application of inheritance where we extend the use of the user. Then we just initialized a constructor, but with a predefined user role named admin. It it is similar, or it is the same for other subclasses. They just the only difference was the user roles. And for the kitchen staff, we have the kitchen staff. Next, now for the user manager, this is where we kind of like validate the user. This is where we store or create an account, and this is where we validate that account so that when we're logging in, we only have those three roles or three accounts that we're gonna use in this um, project. So, like for example, in the attribute field, we have made an instance of this class, the user manager, so that we could apply the singleton that was being asked from our requirements. And then the second attribute is the uh, array list, or like the list for the user class. We do this so that we can add users that we can use in our project. Like for example, this one. We are instantiating new user objects for for the accounts. Like we added an admin in the list, we added a customer in the list, and a kitchen staff in the list. And their username must be admin, and their password must be an admin 123. Like it's the same for other accounts. So since in the subclasses they are only asking for two parameters like the username and the password, and depending on the subclass they would have a predefined user role. So for the kitchen staff, right here in the user manager, we call the kitchen staff subclass and then made a username and a password. And then for the hidden, like hidden value is the user role, which is already instantiated here in the super method. So automatically this kitchen staff object already contains a user role named kitchen staff. Same for other users. Now next is the get instance method. This is like similar to other getter methods so that we could access the instance to other um classes. Like for example here in login, this is mainly where we're gonna use or call the get instance so that we can like call or yeah, basically so that we can call this class, yeah. And then for this function, just as the name suggests, it creates a user by adding it in the list. Then the next function is removing the user by just using the remove property. Was it property? By using this remove after finding the username in the list if it exists. If not, of course the user would of course it would have an error handling saying that or displaying that the user is not found. Then another function is the update role, where after finding the username in the list, we are setting the user role to a new role. And this set user role function, we um, made that in the user object. Excuse me, right here. And same if it was not found in the list, then it would output this user not found. And then second to the last, we have this function, get user. This is for like validation so that when we log in, we're trying to look for the account through through the list so that we know that it is existing or there are matching accounts that the user was trying to log in. So if there is, it would return this one, and if there's nothing, it is null. Then the last one is getting all the users that is contained in the list. Now we're done with the back end. Now that we know how it is working, we're gonna go to the front end. Now, while designing the front end, we just kind of like drag and drop the design. So we just did a little bit of a cleanup. And for the radio buttons, we of course applied what we had learned during our first year. So where was it again? Like this. Not that. Like this. Where was it? This one. We added the radio buttons in one button group so that there's only one choice that they could make. Now skipping through all the designs, we just renamed it, we just drag and drop and then renamed it, cleaned the codes, and then for the actual function, we're gonna skip here to the button. Here. Here. After clicking this, something should happen, right? So for example, we did not try to input anything. Of course, that is invalid. That is the user was stopped on or prevented on logging in because they did not place anything in the input fields. So when clicking the button, first, we're gonna, of course, retrieve the data from the input fields. And then after um, retrieving the input, of course, the row is still empty because it is based on what was chosen in the UI right here in the radio button. Depending on what they chose, for example, this customer radio button is click, the role would be initialized to customer. So this would not be a null value. And then after taking all or retrieving all the data, we would then use the get instance method so that we could use the user manager and then get the user so that we could validate whether it exists within the list or not. So that if there is an account that matches it, like the logged user, there is an account found in the user manager, it would input this. Like it would up, there would be a model that would appear or an or a extra pane or panel saying that the login is successful, you log in as blah blah blah. And depending on what role they chose, a another panel would appear. For example, they chose an admin. The admin menu would appear, or if they chose the customer, um the panel with the panel that displays the menu would appear or displayed. And if it's the kitchen staff, it would be the kitchen panel here. The panel would be set to visible so that it would appear on screen. And I would dispose of that. Else, if there is nothing that was found in the user manager, it would output the invalid or error message. So let's try running it like here. So first, let's try to log in by intentionally putting wrong details. For example, user 123, and then the password is user also 123. Of course, we don't have that because in the user manager, we had already predefined a dummy data as per the requirements had said. The user should have a username, and then for the password, they should have a user 123 password. And as you can see, we did not use the name user for the username. That's why it is invalid. How about we input the correct details for the input fields, however, we chose a different role? Will that be valid? Of course not, because in the user manager, the user is strictly set as a customer, as a customer object. And in the customer object, they are um, initialized to customer as their user role. That's why they cannot choose admin when clearly they are a user or a customer. So let's try logging in for the customer. This time, all the input is correct. So let's try logging in. The option pane appeared, login successful, you log in as blah blah blah. And then after logging in, we are then redirected to the menu panel, or the panel that is um only used by the customers. Now the functions for this one would be explained by my other group mates, so let's skip that. We're gonna focus on the login. So in this panel, we can log out so that we could be redirected back to the login page, and then we could try other accounts. For example, we can try the admin. Oops. Oh yeah, right. They are capitalized, right? Yeah. Now let's try to log in. Let's wait. Okay, we are then redirected to the, yeah, the admin page. Yes. Now let's try the kitchen staff. Kitchen staff. For the password, I forgot. Oops. Kitchen 123. Kitchen 123. And then let's choose the chef. And yeah. Oh, I forgot to put an icon there, but this is for the uh chef. Actually, disclaimer: this my file wasn't updated. That's why these are not totally the panel for the kitchen staff. Like there's actually another um file for this one that I got wasn't updated, so I'm really sorry. But later on, my group mates would explain to you, and they would show the actual page or panel for the kitchen staff and the admin. Yeah. So basically, we're just using a placeholder um for the other panels, but basically these are all working when it comes to like redirecting to other pages, because in this code we should be setting the panel to visible, meaning it should appear, right? And in the package explorer, you could find it here, the kitchen panel here, the customer panel. So yeah, we are using the correct links. It's just that the actual GUI was still not done while I was doing this video, so that was a disclaimer. My um group mates would explain that to you, so that would be for my part. Thank you. Next reporter.
Dangal greetings everyone. Dangal greetings Patrick. I am Radiri Yamales, and now let's talk about the admin menu. The admin menu is a comprehensive restaurant management system designed for administrators, built using Java Swing to provide an intuitive and interactive interface. At its core, the application serves two primary functions: the menu management and the user management. The menu management have functions that handling food items across categories like main dishes, desserts, and beverages, while the user management have a controlling roles such as admin, customer, and kitchen staff. The interface is structured with a set bar for quick category navigation and a dynamic main panel that displays menu items in a responsive grid layout. Each product is presented as card with an image, name, price, and an Order Now button. Though the ordering functionality is currently a placeholder, the admin features are accessible through a menu bar, which includes options to manage users, edit the menu, or log out securely. Under the hood, the program follows modular design principles to ensure main- maintainability and scalability. For instance, the user manager and the menu manager classes are implemented as singletons, guaranteed as a single point of control for user data and menu items. When a new menu item is added, the menu item factory comes into play, dynamically creating the appropriate category-specific objects, for example, main dishes and dessert, based on user input. The factory pattern simplifies object creation while keeping the system extensible for future categories. User interactions trigger real-time updates. For example, when an admin adds or modifies a menu item, the refresh main card panel class method reconstructs the display without requiring a full application restart. The input validation, such as checking for valid prices or existing usernames, is handled via JOption pane dialog, ensuring data integrity. The program architecture effectively separates front-end components like swing panels and event listeners from back-end logic such as role-based or user operations, while it currently uses in a memory data storage. The design could easily integrate with a database for persistent storage. So in summary, the admin menu system combines a clean user-friendly interface with a robust backend management, making it a practical solution for restaurant administrators. It's used for design patterns and modular code ensures flexibility for future enhancements such as integrating payment system or expanding role-based permissions. So that's for my report. And now let's go to the next project. Dun, dun.
Hello everyone, Dangal greetings. I'm Elrob Jan Irabon, and I will be the one explaining the customer and cart panel of our system. So, after we successfully signed in as a user or as a customer, we can now proceed to the menu panel. So, as a customer, we want to buy something that we wanted or that we are craving of. So, for example, I'm the customer and I'm craving for some food. But first, I will explain to you the three main types of the product. So we have here buttons for main dish, which will display all the products. And second is the dessert button, which displays all the desserts. And lastly, beverage button to display all the beverage or drinks. So, I'm craving of some chicken wings. And by simply clicking this order now button, so this chicken wings is now in my cart. And for the dessert, I want something crispy, so I will choose croissant. And for the beverage, I'm craving for some matcha. So I will now pick milk tea matcha. And after we successfully um, added the product on the cart, you can see on the upper right of this window the cart button. And by clicking it, it will show the shopping cart. So we have a total item 3, which is the chicken wings, croissant, and milk tea that we added earlier. And also, it will display the amount of each product and quantity and the total. So for the quantity, we can adjust how many product we want to buy. So for example, I want 3 croissant. So by simply clicking this arrow up button, it will automatically increment. And also it will affect the total amount or the total cost for that particular product. So as a base price for the croissant, which is 45 pesos, we have now 135 pesos since we are going to buy 3 croissant. And going to this order summary panel, you can see here the summary of the orders. So since we bought 3 items, you can see here, and a shipping. So there are 3 types of shipping, which are standard delivery, express, and scheduled. So each delivery or each shipping has its own amount of price. So for the standard, we have 5, express 15, and scheduled deliveries cost 10 pesos. So for example, I am hungry or I am starving right now and I want this order to come right at me ASAP. So I'll now click or pick this express delivery. And by clicking this express, it will now charge me 15 pesos and it will reflect this total cost. So here's the total cost of my order, which is 289 pesos. And since we have a total cost of 289 pesos, so I think it is too much for me. So I'm thinking of some way to reduce this cost. So we have here a promo code that we can use to reduce the amount of our expenses. So this promo code is exclusive. So let's say it's exclusive because not all customers know the promo code for this shop. And since I know the promo code, I will use it and take an advantage of it to reduce the expenses. So for that promo code, we have Puro Aral. And by simply clicking apply button, it will now it will take effect on our total cost. So the promo code is 100 pesos. So by reducing 100 pesos on our total cost, we only have now 189 pesos to pay. And now we can now check out our order. Order placed successfully. Total 189 pesos. And also, let's try another way. Let's say we are going to buy again, but just a one product. So I'm craving for some brownies. And now we proceed the shopping cart. So we're planning to buy only one brownies, which cost 35 pesos. And by simply choosing standard delivery that cost me 5 pesos, I will now have total cost of 40 pesos. So let's try putting the promo code, which is the Puro Aral. Oh, so the promo code cannot be applied because the minimum spending must be 150 pesos. So since the total cost we have right now is 40 pesos, so it is not applicable to use promo code. So the promo code will only take effect if we have a total cost over 150 pesos. And I will now proceed checking out. And yeah, this is the customer and cart panel of our system. So for the additional information of the customer panel and cart panel, I will discuss some of the important parts or codes that we use on it. So by opening the file customer panel, we will see the several imports here that connects on the other um, classes or file. So since this customer panel class extends to the JFrame, so assuming it is the front end. So here are the several components that we use, such as menu bar, buttons, content pane as the main content panel, sidebar, and components of the sidebar. And we have here private void check order notification to check if the order that we checked out has been completed or is pending. And the private JPanel create product card that will display the product individually. And also panel for the product information. Then the private JScroll pane to create category panel. And we will now proceed to the order Java, where it consists of getters and setters that we use, such as setting the shipping cost and setting the promo discount and setting the total price. So in this file or in this order class, it will compute or it will have the computation of the shipping, promo, and the set, or I mean the total price of our order. And to the third one, which is the order item class. So this manipulates the menu item and its quantity. So earlier we discussed the quantity of each product. So it handles the menu item and it or I mean it handles the quantity of product each. And also it will get the total price, which returns the item that get price times the quantity. And for the fourth one, order observer class. So this handles the add to cart. So this handles the order that we put every time we order or click the order button for each product. So we implement here the the array list for the order item. And it also handles the remove from cart and clear cart. And for the front end of the cart panel, we have this several attributes that we needed to successfully run this um, particular part of the system. So earlier I discussed the cart panel, and this is the code for this. So simply saying that it consists of the components that we use in the shopping cart panel. So as you can see here, yes, there are several buttons, panels, and labels that we use in displaying information for the add to cart panel. And also we have here private void update shipping cost to update the shipping cost. So since we have three types of shipping, which are standard, express, scheduled, we use if else if condition. If the selected shipping that we choose, for example here standard, it will return 5 as an amount. or the cost for the shipping. And also we have private double calculate total to calculate the total amount of the shipping minus the promo discount. And yeah, so here are the codes for the that we use for the cart panel and customer panel.
So, greetings everyone. I'm Shania Magda and today I'm gonna explain to you the kitchen panel of our food order system. Kitchen st- So, after logging in, you can see here this the menu that can also be seen in the admin and customer. So, the main function of this kitchen is to see the orders right here on the top right of the panel. So when you click on it, it says that there is no pending order. So after adding products or orders from the customer or user panel, it will record here in the order button on the top right of the kitchen's panel. So you can see here that there are four orders, which is the number that or the number of order that I added from the customer login. So your kitchen staff can able to view what order or what items na meron yung order na yon. So for the order one, there are burgers and chicken wings and same for the others. Can able to see it by clicking the view order. So the button here mark as completed, it will indicate ang function nito is mark as completed na yung mga order na tapos nang gawin ng kitchen staff. So, another function of it is also give notification for the user or customer that their order has been made. So, let's try to um, mark as complete one order. So, if you click orders again, you can see here that the orders are regardless of what order I deleted, mag-auto-increment yung number of orders. So, if kahit i-remove ko yung 1 or 2 or 3, so mag-auto-increment siya regardless kung ano yung i-delete ko. If I delete the order 1, magkakaroon pa rin ng number 1 and yung susunod is mag-a-adjust. So, let's mark it all completed. So after marking this all completed, if we go to the user panel, in the notification, you can see here that the order that we mark as completed will record here, notifying the user that their order has been complete from the kitchen panel will record here and alert or inform the user that the order is or has been made. So that is all for the kitchen panel.
Hi, I am Chelsea and I'm going to explain the report class, which is very significant in our program for generate important three important for the admin control. So which is the daily sales report, most ordered items report, and lastly the customer order history. So let us start with the so for a brief overview. So our report window contains three types of reports. Like what I've said um, a while ago, the daily sales, most ordered items, the customer history. So it uses a modern GUI background to match the brand. So the sidebar allows users to easily switch between report types. So the daily sales report let us view all sales made on the specific date. But the most ordered items report shows which products are most popular based on actual receipt data. So the design focuses on both functionality and visual engaging user experience. So as we can see here, um, this is the report class. So the JFrame is used to build the main window, and the user manager and the menu manager. It both handle the users and to manage the users rather and menu items. I will not be explaining further the JFrame, so I will focus more on the logical side of our program. So So in the data sales report, so in the J panel, create daily sales panel. Um, okay. So this panel let us choose a date and view sales made that day. So the report includes the receipt number, the date time, so the customer name, the item count, the total count, and also lastly the payment method. So in the update daily sales table, it updates the table with sales data for the selected date. So this method actually refreshes the sales table when a date is chosen so that it can filter the data by its date. So in the create most order items panel, so it shows the top ordered menu items, which is useful for deciding best sellers or inventory planning. In the update most ordered items table, it checks all receipts count, how many times each menu was ordered, sorts them by popularity and shows item name, category count, and the category. So in the table styling, it makes the table look nice. The header, font, row color, and also the alignment. This makes the table more readable and attractive using color fonts and alignment. So that's it. But I want to show the output of this program so that we can better visualize how it runs. So here we are now in our program. As we can see, there are three navigation sidebar here. So the daily sales, the most ordered items, and lastly the customer history. So in the daily sales, as we can see here in select date, we can select date which we want to filter our data. And then it will generate the report wherein this table will be refreshed and be reloaded. So these are the details of our program. So in the most ordered items, it can also generate reports. Um, what are the items that the every customers have the best likes or desires. And lastly, the customer history. So in the customer history, it can select um, the customers or the user. So um, it can also generate the items or the orders which has been ordered by the customers. So that's it for our reports reports um, part.